Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the Collegiate Star League. My name is Joe Laguidis. I'm joined here today by Ravi, and we're preparing to kick off round 2 with a terrific match here, Georgia Tech versus Waterloo. Ravi, how are you feeling about this match as we go into it today?
I'm feeling excited, and not just because we're going to get to watch two awesome teams play, Joe. It's the first week back after a long Christmas break. I'm sure a lot of the players, and you know what, funny enough, unlike traditional sports where during that break time, you're kind of worried players won't be informed, with StarCraft, players get even more informed when they have time off from school and they get to play even more.
Yeah, that's kind of a really interesting dynamic in the CSL is that these players they're student athletes, you know. They're taking the time to play StarCraft in their free time outside of their studies. But the time they're in the best shape is actually probably going to be in the off-season of CSL. But right now, these players have been training in the off-time, and we're going to get to see the benefit of that as we jump into Map 1, which is going to be Echo. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first player here in the bottom right-hand corner. The Protoss player playing for Georgia Tech. It's going to be G-Suck Cube.
And up in the top left, we have the red Terran player. Give it up for the Riddler, who is representing Team University of Waterloo.
Just fixing my hotkeys there. I have a custom set of observing hotkeys, and I completely forgot to set it. Because as you said, it's been a while. We've been on Christmas break here. But I can't wait to hop back into this. TVP on Echo is always really fun to watch. I mean, the Terran's got a lot of different drop angles they can come in at. You have those first 3 bases are pretty easy to secure. But then it can be pretty hard to push out. Start taking that 4th and that 5th base as you go into the late game. Because obviously, once you get past the 3rd base, things get pretty exposed here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of Protoss players have been struggling a little bit on Echo just because of all the different drop harassment that can come out. The Liberator harassment can also be a really big pain to deal with on Echo just because there are some really nice spots for those Liberators to kind of siege up and just make your life a living hell. But I am really interested to see where things are going to go in a bit. I do, of course, before we get too far into the broadcast, want to give a huge shout out to the sponsors. I know we didn't really get a chance to talk about them earlier on, but you guys will see more advertisements and stuff for them later on. Band Gaming, of course. For those who are not familiar with them, they're a really great social media site. But one important thing I wanted to bring up is that we will be crowning the Band Gaming player or moment of the day. So keep an eye out for that. And if you have any suggestions, let us know in the chat.
Yeah, and the band gaming player of the day is really fun because, of course, in the CSL we have the 2v2s and the Archons, right? And StarCraft's not normally thought of as a team sport, but in the CSL we have these different options, so players that are maybe a bit weaker in the lineup can find a way to contribute and really play StarCraft as a team. And I think it's really cool that Band comes out and supports it, brings players together, and gives us this award as a way to kind of show off that, yes, there can be teamwork even in StarCraft too. And I just like seeing people support that kind of thing.
I love that kind of stuff. And honestly, I know that it seems like one of those things that you're not always, it's not the most intuitive thing, right? That there would in fact be this team aspect to StarCraft, a 1v1 game. But honestly, StarCraft and the team environment of CSL was probably one of the reasons why I got so into StarCraft. It's just a really, really awesome environment, being around other people who enjoy the game and being able to talk with them, share strategies, practice with each other. But speaking of strategies, Joe, we do have Robo and Twilight coming out right now for Jisoo Cube, and it seems like this is going to be one of the more standard Protoss openings for a PvT matchup.
Yeah, I find that a bit surprising because the Riddler is a multiple Grandmaster player. He's got a lot of experience. I believe he's in top Masters right now. It's perhaps a bit out of shape. His opponent is in Diamond. So I would give the Riddler just the edge based off things like ladder ranking. As I'm saying all of this and how it's very brave of him to play standard, he does throw down that Dark Shrine. Maybe it'll be for Blink.
Yeah, you know, that would be super fun. We have been seeing a couple of players in the GSL and a pro level play going for things like Blink all-ins, and it's inspired an entire generation of Protoss players, because you have to remember, Protoss players at all levels on the ladder are really struggling these days versus Terran. It has been a pretty rough matchup for them, and a lot of the reason is because you have those Widowmine drops, and dealing with those requires a specific set of units. And then you have the siege tank pushes on 2 base. Those require a specific set of units. And then you have the Liberator pushes that come up afterwards. So a lot of Pros players kind of resort to, I won't say desperation, but they really do just try and end the game a little bit on the earlier side. And Dark Shrine, maybe not the best, maybe the best way to handle this.
So we do have a 4 Widowmine drop coming up out of the Riddler, and I'm a little bit worried for Jisoo Cube because there's no Stalkers in play, and again, as I say, that 3 Stalkers do get warped in. Blink is not yet even started, so it's going to be hard to actually catch this medevac, but if he positions them correct, he can at least ward off this drop and try to prevent himself from taking any damage. But this is a very juicy looking probe line, and ooh, those Stalkers moved out of position for just a moment, and it really scared me for him.
Oh man, but 3 Stalkers and an Adept is not really going to be enough to at least even focus fire down one of these Widowmines. 3 of them do manage to burrow. 1 Widowmine still left inside the medevac. 5 workers killed so far, but that last medevac is going to try and burrow. No, doesn't unload the Widowmines, unfortunately. The Widowmine does go down inside of the medevac, but where is the Observer? There it is.
So if we take a look, that was actually not a cost-efficient trade for the Riddler. Sure, he absolutely slew down Jisoo Cube's economy. He brought the Protoss down to about his level of workers, but there's counterattack going on with these DTs right now. They are going to get into the mineral line. The detection is there, of course, with the turret. 1 Widowmine goes off, but there's still another DT to come in and try to mop some of this off before it gets cleaned up, and Jisoo Cube is doing damage.
Yeah, he kills off a Marine, kills off a Widowmine. The Marines are going after the War Prism. The War Prism should be able to pick it up and get out of there. The Observer, unfortunately, does go down, so that's going to be a bit of an annoying loss, especially when you're up against a heavy Widowmine player, but really nice job with the damage being done over there from the Dark Templars, even forcing out just so many missile turrets. I mean, we have, what, 2 missile turrets inside the natural expansion. We got a missile turret inside the main base. Multiple scans used. The biggest problem is just going to be how late the 3rd expansion is for the Protoss player.
Another Widowmine drop is going to attempt to poke in here, but it's going to be warded off by that Photon Overcharge. Going to drop him at the 3rd to try to pick off any transferring probes in case Jisoo Cube's not paying attention. But one thing I do want to point out is actually the follow-up to this first TT attack. And Ravi, Shadow Stride is on the way. We're going to get to see your favorite meme here in game number 1 of CSL.
Oh, you know me so well, Joe. And for those who don't know and aren't familiar with exactly what that is in fact the Blink DT upgrade. It's going to be finishing pretty soon, but it's a very, very long upgrade. It's almost a full 2 minutes. And now here's the important thing that many people have to realize about how you use Blink DTs. One, they pair really, really well with Charge, which has already been researched by the pros player. The second thing is, if you just blink one or two DTs around, it's not actually going to be that effective. If you blink 7 or 8 DTs onto the other side of your opponent's army while the Zealots charge forward, it actually becomes an incredibly effective tool. And the reason for that is because you suddenly get a lot of surface area. The Charge Zealots immediately get on top of your opponent's Marines and Marauders, and the DTs get on the other side. So they're not competing with each other for surface area anymore.
It sounds like it could absolutely cause a lot of chaos, and they have the potential to be a really powerful glass cannon.
Oh, this is great. He's going to force a lift up on the third. I was going to say, these DTs surprisingly quick damage, so that third could be burning down very, very quickly if you're not paying attention.
A small hit squad of Bio is going to come up to try to deal with this. Scans are going to need to go down if they want to take out these DTs. The Zealots actually allow the Widow Mines to just wreck everything there. He's going to try to get out with what's left of his DTs, but that was a really unfortunate fight for our Protoss player here.
Oh man, those Widow Mines, the biggest game changers, doing an insane amount of damage versus the heavily clumped up Zealots and DTs. And that's something that Jisso Cube is going to have to be incredibly careful for. But guess what? He's doesn't really have any observers with his army right now. He's starting to send them across the map, but he really needed those earlier.
Well, GSOC Cube's going to be poking up just a bit here, trying to deal with this ball of Bio, but you can't fight Bio with just a handful of Stalkers and Zealots. Gateway units do not do well against this kind of force, and he's going to be completely cleaned up. GSOC Cube does have his third, but he's lost any kind of map presence and map control that his mobile Gateway army was giving him, and I'm not really sure what his next move is going to be, because right now he is completely in the dark, and he really needs to get some more information.
Yeah, it's a sort of funny situation too, because I think that we have our Terran player very much aware of how far ahead he is probably in army supply, so he's going to continue to build up a little bit more and immediately move out. And he's also saving up scans. Notice that he has not dropped almost any mules for a while, and that's on top of the fact that he has all these missile turrets, so he really is just saving up scans for the big push, I think.
DT drop is going to come into the natural here, already picks off 2 SCVs. No response just yet from the Riddler. Now a couple of Bio units are going to swing in, and they do take down this DT after getting 3 SCVs. I don't believe that is worth it, because it didn't significantly slow down the push at all, and now we see the Terran army about halfway across the map. What is GSOC Cube's response going to be?
Well, he's going to start by killing his own gateway a little bit. Adds a bit of damage to it. It's going to continue to warp in a couple more Stalkers. You can see that the stress of this push is starting to get to him. Liberator also sieging up. Militia Corps is going to be incredibly important with some good fortune overcharges. Maybe he can make something happen over here. He's got a lot of Stalkers in depth, but the Militia Corps goes down. The Pylons are going down, and it seems like Jisso Cube is hoping that he can get out Colossus in time, but the third is most certainly going to fall.
Yeah, and Probe's not being evacuated either. If he tries to pull him now, they'll just get caught by the Bio. If he'd pulled him earlier, they might have been focusing down the Nexus. Now the Colossus is here. If he fights on that ramp, it could be advantageous for GSOC Cube. A couple Liberators, though, are going to siege up this position, forcing GSOC Cube to give up his best choke, and now this is going to be a bit of a tough fight for him.
Yeah, but this Colossus is doing some serious work against that Bio. The problem is just there's not enough of a ground force in front of it to really take the damage. Even though I've got to say the Riddler getting very, very low on health with a lot of these units, it seems like this just may be a little bit too much Bio.
Yeah, and it looks like the Riddler now is just going to continue to power through what remains of GSOC's Cube army, and GG is called. Looks like that's going to be a victory for the Riddler here. Before we go to break, though, Ravi, I want to talk about a new sponsor that CSL has taken on. We are excited to welcome back ASUS. They make a lot of terrific gaming products, routers, mechanical keyboards, desktops, laptops, motherboards, if you like to build your own stuff. And we just couldn't be happier to have them. They make great products, and I think everyone here at CSL is super proud to see that they support us and they support collegiate esports.
Yeah, really awesome sponsor. Be sure to check him out, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, be sure to also check out Twitch. You guys are already probably doing so if you're watching this broadcast, but there are a lot of awesome ways to support Twitch. I hear that Twitch Prime is pretty freaking cool these days, especially if you use Amazon Prime, which I know I use on a daily basis nearly. I get my toilet paper delivered with Amazon Prime now. All right, but I think we're going to be hopping to a short break while we get the next game set up. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the CSL. Don't go anywhere for game number 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome back to the CSL. This is our second game in the best of 5, and Waterloo is leading this series 1-0. The Riddler just defeated GSOC Cube, and now we're heading into Sidis versus Plurmorant.
That name is as hard to pronounce as your last name, Joe.
Oh. Yeah, it's really it's a bit unintuitive, just like the way letters work. They don't normally look like that. But we'll try our best. He's gonna be here giving us his best showing, so we'll definitely do the best we can to kind of showcase him, highlight him, and give him a little time in the spotlight. I guess we didn't really properly introduce our players, so why don't we go ahead and do that. In the bottom left-hand corner, playing for Team Waterloo, we have the red Terran. It is Sidis.
And up in the top right, we have the purple Zerg player playing, of course, for Team Georgia Institute of Technology. Put your hands together. Plurmorant. I feel like that's one of those names that you're just going to start saying, and then you kind of just mumble the rest and hope that everybody assumes you said it right.
Yeah, I have a tendency with names like that to try to, like, break them into words I know. So like I'm like I want to say Pluto Rant because that's kind of what it looks like to me. But I think what you said, Pluramorant.
I really want to say Plum because it's a purple Zerg player that's also got almost Plum in his name.
Now,
so close.
I'm really curious for how this matchup is going to go because if I remember correctly, Sidis was Waterloo's ace, and I think he gave maybe Jon Snow or Jason, someone that's up in that top 16 GM level, a really close game. So I think this could be an uphill battle for Plurmorant, a guy we don't know too much about. But I'd really love it if he could show us a good game. We are going to see the first Reaper coming across the map now, so this will be kind of the first chance to see how he deals with that.
Yeah, already getting surrounded. Really nice job so far, just keeping that Reaper back and making sure it can't really get immediately a ton of damage done. A couple sacrificial Zerglings here and there, but buys himself time. The Reaper is a little bit low on health. Now, Plurmorant is actually going to end up losing one of these early Overlords. I think that... Oh, okay. Actually, Marine loses the high ground vision. Oh, Buster. Buster.
Yeah, Daybreak it's such a ledgy map, and it's so, like, the spaces between the main and the natural are kind of wide and long enough that it's a bit more forgiving if you screw up with your Overlord control. You have a lot more chance to get into that dead space, and it looks like the Zerg player is going to be able to do that.
Yeah, more drones on the way. Plimerant's going to feel comfortable just defending purely with the queen. And that may be a bit of a dangerous game, but already got some pretty good control. Hasn't really ended up losing any drones so far. May have taken a lot of damage on some, but really just the Zerglings going down.
Yeah, damaged drones do mine just as well as healthy ones. This is a really interesting layer timing. He's doing it on just saturating his 2 gases now. I think he started at about 245. Typically, if we were going to see 2-base mutaplay, he would have already had 3 gases, and then you get the 4th one at around 52 supplies. So I'm thinking this might be some kind of Roach or Queen Nidus play.
We'll have to wait and see. I am definitely interested to see what he was going to do with all that gas. But it is also going to be a bit weird because we do have Buster now moving out across the map with the Hellions, and there still just really aren't that many units out right now for Plimerance. He's got 14 more Zerglings coming out pretty soon, but if these Hellions do decide to go totally gung-ho, or I guess the Reaper actually goes gung-ho, gets into the main base, is going to pretty much scout out the lair.
Well, these Hellions are starting to poke away at this first queen. There's a lot of Lings hanging out in the back. If the Hellions step on a creep, that could be very dangerous for them. But so far, Sidus playing it very conservative, hanging back right outside the creep. Now they are going to dive in a bit, and 2 of them are going to get caught, it looks like, at least by the Zerglings. Pulling them back, doing a good job is Plumerant. And so far, good trades, but he needs to be very careful to retain his Zergling count. He cannot let these Hellions get through and get into that drone line.
All right, here we go. We do have the Banshee now making its way across the map. Cloak is also being researched. It's going to be that very old school style TVZ, Hellion, Banshee, trying to get the harassment done at the front. And with the 3rd expansion coming out behind all this, I do wonder, is Buster going to be able to get up enough damage, keep these units contained while the Banshees maybe do some harassment in the main base? The Spire's on the way, and those Banshees are going to have a very narrow window of opportunity to get damage done.
This is a really interesting 2-base Spire timing because he doesn't have enough gas to really make a significant amount of mutas. As you can see, he's eking out just 4. His gas timings are really weird. He was undersaturated in his 4th until then, but I'm going to hold on to that thought as the aggression is starting. The Banshee pokes in here. It's going to start poking down some of these drones. It pulls back, but it's heavily damaged, and it's going to be vulnerable to the mutas when they pop.
Really nice Hellion micro coming out from Buster. Actually takes out the Queen and really just splits up the damage on those Hellions, but unfortunately he's going to get these Hellions surrounded by the Zerglings. A lot of them get cleaned up, and of course the Mutalisks are going to finish the job. Even a stray Viking that did manage to get maybe 1 Overlord kill does get picked off as well. It seems like now Buster is going to be on the backside.
These mutas are going to be starting to make their way across the map. Sidus doesn't have any turrets or anything up like that, and I think that this could be a potential for a lot of damage here for Plimerant. These mutas are going to continue to poke around the front. There's Marines at the front. They need to be using that dead space to move between the bases, and that's the way they're going to be able to affect maximum damage here as Buster puts down his first turrets.
Yeah, but remember, Plimerant has to do some damage over here. Buster went up to a 3rd command center behind all of this, and of course, yeah, he did end up losing quite a few units, but he's still got a very stable economy, whereas Plimerant went for a very quick 2-base Spire play. Oh, the Banshee is actually still doing some more damage over at that 3rd location. Sporecrawler coming down, but there's no mining at that 3rd just yet.
Yeah, he's going to force the Queen away, but the Queen does live. The Overseer is popped now, and that's going to allow him to have a much safer defense against any kind of late game Banshees, but these mutas just aren't doing their job quite yet. Plimerant has a lot of them, but he hasn't been able to find the angles he needs to really put a lot of hurt into those mineral lines, deny mining time, to force Buster to pull away and bounce around between the bases. And it looks like the 2-base mutaplay has essentially been for naught other than holding off the early aggression of Buster.
Yeah, this is going to become a really dangerous game all as well because we have the Widow Mines starting to pop out now. Some of these Mutalisks not running around with an Overseer. Oh, well, actually, they might be able to snipe off combat shields. That's really nice. That actually might end up delaying Buster's push in for a bit. Vikings are going to get taken out very quickly, but the Mutalisks got to be careful. They're running closer and closer to 2 of those Widow Mines.
So far, they're not going to get hit by them. They are managing to snipe some SCVs on their way out. Earlier we said that it wasn't really worth it, but now I'm thinking that was a pretty good play out of Plimerant, just kind of as the window to do damage with the Mutalisks was closing. He managed to snake right in under that tiny gap and pick off a lot of SCVs, a Tech Lab, and a Viking.
Yeah, doing a really nice job. Now the Banshee is still alive, up to 6 kills now. Cloaking time. No, there's Overseers over there. It doesn't matter. Mutals do manage to pick it off. But I mean, even pulling the Mutals back with that Banshee is really nice because, as we were saying, those Mutals were starting to actually pay for themselves a little bit more, but having to pull them back, that gives Buster time to reset up his Marines, to get up a missile turret his third, to get up his Widow Mines in the right spots.
Indeed, and now there's going to be that potential to attack on the third from Plumerant. There's one Viking here to try to deal with these Mutalisks, but those Widowmine shots do so much friendly fire, and this attack is just continuing to pour on in. All these SCVs forced off of the line.
Well, I mean, what SCVs are left over are forced off the line. So many of them go down, as you were saying, to the friendly fire damage. Those Widow Mines, I think the problem was that there were just too many SCVs that were already still low on health from the Mutalisk harassment.
Indeed, and now it looks like Plumerant has a whole lot of map control with these Zerglings. He is actually going to fall onto the back foot in kind of a defensive posture here. He's going to be making a lot of Banelings. He knows there's a very big Marine count that's going to be stepping across the map. Combat Shield does finish up, which will help the Marines in dealing with that Ling Bane heavy composition. And I think Buster really needs to do a critical amount of damage here because Plumerant is up to 3 bases and a very healthy economy at 66 drones.
Yeah, all right. One Marine stimming forward, spots out all the Banelings. How exactly is Buster going to be reacting? Oh, he's going to stim it over to the Banelings. He's not afraid. He sees that Centrifugal Hooks wasn't finished up, but it finishes up as soon as he gets there. He's like, wait a second, no, mistake made. Do not want to engage.
And yeah, and now Buster is going to be pulling back completely. And I think without really exchanging a single attack, Plumerant has held this.
Yeah. I think it's going to be pretty difficult to break into, even without the creep spread, which I've got to say, all the Hellion and Banshee harassment, everything made it very difficult. But oh god, the Marines get obliterated by the Banelings. Oh, so unfortunate. The Zerglings get the full wraparound, and the pickup is not quite fast enough for Buster. And that just may be a bit too much. I'm not sure.
Oh, it goes off on nothing.
Oh, it's 2 more Widow Mines, but they get taken out very, very succinctly by those Banelings.
I am really impressed by Plumerant's play right now. I mean, it's not necessarily the cleanest, but he's just done such a good job with the options presented to him, and he's getting on top of everything. These Lings are flooding in. There's no Widow Mines left for the defense. All these SCVs look absolutely doomed as the Mutas just are killing everything. Oh. These Liberators are going to be the only defensive tool here.
I mean, they do a pretty good job of softening up the Mutals, but there's nothing really to finish them off. The Marines on the ground, too busy dealing with all these Zerglings and the Banelings. Widow Mines, they're all on cooldown. Now the SCVs are being pulled off the line. You know that this is that danger zone. And it seems like Plumerant may be very, very close to taking this game for his team, tying up the series 1-1.
Wow, what a game there. What started off with what looked like a not that great 2-base Muta timing ended up turning into a really terrific play from Plumerant. He put his team back on the board, and it's going to be tied up 1-1 between Georgia and Waterloo as we go into our 2v2 series.
Yeah, and of course, you know what that means, Joe? That means that we're hopping into that 2v2 in the Archon mode matches next up. We're guaranteed both of them, and I've got to say, man, I'm a huge fan of these.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. They're typically not quite as high level and clean as the other matches we see here in the CSL, but sometimes that just makes them a little bit more special. You know, there's a kind of joy.
What makes great is that they aren't necessarily always as straightforward, direct, and you know what? Bjorn has already mapped out the meta for this, so we all know what to do. Let's do what? No, this has got a lot more creativity involved in it sometimes from the players.
All right, guys, but before we jump into that 2v2, we're going to show you a little ad for Band Gaming. It's a really awesome social networking site made specifically for gamers. If you have a CSL team, if you want to make a CSL team, there's a lot of great features that allow you to kind of congregate in groups and make calendars and practice schedules and stuff like that within the app. So I'm going to show you an ad that teaches you a little bit more about it. And if you like what you see, you can grab the app completely for free in the Google Play Store, the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store, or I think you can just go to their website, which I believe is bandgaming.com. So I'm going to play that ad, and when we come back, we're going to have that 2v2 between Georgia and Waterloo.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the CSL. We're into what I know is my favorite part of every series, the 2v2 match. And these introductions are always a bit of a doozy, so Ravi, I'm going to go ahead and throw over the first team introduction to you.
All right, spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the purple Terran player and the blue Zerg player, starting in the bottom right. It's going to be Powerfoe and his teammate Sky, and these guys are representing University of Waterloo.
And in the bottom left-hand corner, playing for Team Georgia Tech, we have our green Terran, Eric. Or green Protoss, rather, Eric. And our steel gray Terran, Boxed Cube.
I think it's white, but the map kind of colors it a little bit.
Oh, okay. I'm just looking at like the game heart overlay, 'cause in the 2v2, you know, it shows you the color.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And it's a bit of a steel gray.
Sure. Steel gray. It's a wonderful color I did not know existed.
Yeah, it's like the Crayola.
Crayola.
I always name my colors based on crayons that I played with as a kid.
Wonderful. But man, I've got to talk about Mobius Facility for a moment, because this map has such short air distances across the map. I mean, especially with these spawns, this is actually probably like scrap station level. If you zoom out all the way, you can get both main bases for two of the players in the same screen. It's that close.
I hate to interrupt, but I don't think the air distances are necessarily going to be coming into play here. Okay, it's proxy 2 Reaper. I thought it was maybe going to be that 3 or 4 Marines, 2 racks proxy a Reaper. It's pretty committed, but it's not the end of the world if you don't kill your opponent. But there's certainly going to be a lot of aggression coming out of Boxed Cube here.
I really like that, though, because this is also going to be a great map for the Reaper aggression. You can see it's one barracks built over by that ramp, and guess what? There's actually a really nice pathway for these Reapers to just jump up and down the cliff really, really quickly to your opponent's base.
Yeah, Powerfoe did manage to scout the proxy with a Reaper of his own, so alarm bells should be ringing. We should be seeing Waterloo just cranking out as many units as humanly possible to deal with it. Once that Ling speed finishes up, he can potentially get a critical mass of Lings, wrap around and hold it in place while the Terran units come and provide focusing fire from behind, but they're going to have to survive until that point happens. And we already see SCVs being pulled off the line to try to better deal with this.
Yeah, and the big objective right now for these Reapers and all the follow-up Reapers is stay alive, continue to force out units, and just make your opponents feel uncomfortable. Because the big follow-up is going to be the Adepts. And guess what? The only things really being made right now are Marines. Maybe a Reaper or two will end up getting made by Powerful, but Zerglings. And none of those are going to deal that well against the Adepts.
Yeah, already we see that kind of critical mass of units starting to appear in the base of Waterloo. As Georgia Tech is trying to press into the mineral line, Zerglings being bled out very quickly as they can't effectively engage with an army of this size. Now with speed, they're able to try to get the wraparound, but those Reaper grenades do so much splash damage, and the Marines aren't doing a great job of fighting this Reaper Adept army.
Oh, well, it looks like a lot of the Adepts have ended up falling over here. The Zerglings getting this around once again, and the Reapers are gradually getting picked off. It seems like Powerful and Sky may end up holding over here.
Yeah, a really clean hold. I was very worried for them. There was a moment when it looked like the ball of units was potentially too big. There's going to be a second wave in this attack as a Resonating Glaive and Warp Gates finishes up, but so far the first wave appears to be staunchly defended.
Yeah, very, very well done. Now even the barracks in the center of the map are under fire, so they're probably going to end up having to lift those off pretty soon. And maybe the last two set of Reapers are going to be popping out, but no, he ends up canceling it. But that's a lot of production that's not going to be available. Box Cube doesn't exactly have a factory on the way. He's just now starting it, just starting up a command center. It's just a really weird transition point for Eric and Box Cube.
Indeed, and the Lings of Waterloo are actually going to be running across the map here and putting counter pressure onto their opponents. They're going to get into this mineral line bunker, not yet done. And this is a lot of aggression coming out here as SCVs continue to fall for Boxed Cube, and most of these Lings are going to get out.
And I think one of the best parts about all of that aggression is that I don't think that Sky actually had to make a bunch more Zerglings and, you know, send them across the map and continue to rally them. It wasn't this massive investment he had to go into. It was the leftover units from the defense. And it's just because the wall-in wasn't there, because the Protoss player Eric didn't decide to wall in with his teammate at the front, that those Zerglings are able to just stream on in, delay the command center, kill off a couple of workers, and just do so much damage.
Indeed, but the second wave of the Georgia Tech aggression is going to be coming out soon now. We already see these Adepts starting to march across the map. There's a proxy gateway for reinforcements, and that'll potentially be used to make one more big round of Warpins before these Adepts go in to engage. Resonating Glaives is done, and this is probably going to be the last scary moment here for Waterloo.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how scary it's really going to be. The Adepts already completely walled off from entering that main base, and even though the gateway has gone unscouted so far, the proxy gateway that's going to allow those faster warp-ins, there's not exactly any backup really from Box Cube either. So it's going to just be a one-man attack, and that's honestly, Joe, that's not always the most effective strategy in a 2v2.
No, more stuff typically beats less stuff, and I absolutely love what Sky is doing here. He realizes that map control is still handily in the favor of Georgia Tech. So what do? You sneak a drone up to the top right-hand corner, and you take a hatchery over there. I don't even know how he safely got it there.
Yeah, he actually walked it straight past the Adepts. It was a beautiful moment where he narrowly made it through. Ooh, Reaper from Box Cube going to scout up into the main base, see what he can find. And there are so many Banelings over here for Sky. I think really the only thing that I think Sky is missing is maybe that Centrifugal Hooks upgrade. Since he does have that lair done, with this many Banelings, Centrifugal Hooks, there's no reason not to invest in it.
Yeah, absolutely. He chose instead to go for that roach speed first.
Oh, those Adepts shaded in on top of the Banelings.
That was definitely a scary moment for Georgia Tech, but they are going to be able to pull those back. But it just looks like Sky and Powerful are really powering up here as we move into the mid-game, and they're going to be stepping out, taking map control, getting ready to just put as much damage as humanly possible onto the opponent's side of the map.
And still, we have the Protoss and the Terran players not walling off just yet. And that's still a bit of a surprise to me, because now you end up seeing this massive Terran plus Zerg Zerg Baneling force that's going to be able to bust their way in. The Baneling is going to be incredibly effective. Kind of like a partial wall over here. It's going to cut down some of the surface area, but here we go. Baneling is making their way in.
Those first Banelings do crash into the Adept wall, and so many of those gateway units fall very quickly. The Marines are just powering on through this army, and it looks like this could be a pretty clean win here for Waterloo.
Oh god, yeah. Banley's making their way into the mineral line right now for Box Cube, absolutely detonating on everything. The Marines finishing the job, and a really, really well played game by Waterloo. I've got to say, goes back in my mind to just that really, really solid hold in the early stage of the game. I mean, working together against the Reaper pressure is not always the most easy thing to do, but they did a fantastic job of it.
And now the final tech buildings of the Protoss players are going to fall. The GGs, the GGs do come out, and it looks like that is going to be it. Victory going to Waterloo here.
Yeah, they're going to go up 2-1. And I've got to say, you know, the more that I think about it, I really, really do like how that hold went in the early stage of the game. Again, holding on versus the Reapers and also the Adepts, I mean, it requires good coordination on when you're moving forward, when you're going to try and engage against the Reapers, kind of making sure that, you know, the Zerg players, Zerglings, can surround the Reapers while the Marines get involved and actually get to do the big damage on them. I'm actually going to, you know what, Joe, I'm going to do it. I'm going to award University of Toronto, or sorry, what am I talking about? University of Waterloo. You know, Canada is all the same to me, right? University of Waterloo, the Band Gaming Award for the broadcast. Team band together moment.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and second that. It was great teamwork, like you said. There was a moment that I would say was really scary when the ball of Reapers and Adepts was in the base, and the coordination between them was just really on point. So I'm proud to present it. I'm sure the players are happy to have it. And since we're talking about the Band Gaming Award, why don't we show our viewers a little bit more about them before we jump into our Archon match?
That sounds great.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back. Oh, I used the wrong overlay. I'm sorry about that, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to our third and potentially final map. We're going to be having an Archon mode here between Georgia and Waterloo. And in the top right-hand corner, we're going to have our first Archon. It's going to be playing for Georgia Tech, Box Cube and GSOC Cube.
And in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have playing for University of Waterloo. Put your hands together for Power Foe as well as the Riddler. So, Joe, I know before the game got started, we were sitting in the lobby taking a look at these guys' leagues, and I think we were remarking how this may be a bit of a difficult battle for Georgia Institute.
Yeah, I mean, Waterloo, as far as I remember, was one of the stronger teams that didn't have, like, an ace pro on them, like a Jon Snow or a Jason or a Poke Bunny.
They did go 5-2 in the last set of groups, whereas Georgia Tech went 2-5, so definitely goes to show, yeah, Waterloo probably was the favorite coming into this.
But yeah, these, Box Cube, I believe, is Platinum, and GSOC Cube is in Diamond League. Whereas Buster and the Riddler are both former Grandmasters, and they're both guys that seem to favor an aggressive style, which can just be really dangerous to play against. If you're not used to dealing with really cleanly executed aggression, it's something that players can fall apart to really easily. And that's almost kind of exacerbated and multiplied by Archon mode. Yeah, because there's so much control available.
Absolutely. If you pick a build that is much more passive, then I think that you are actually hampering yourself of one of your greatest tools in Archon mode. You should be trying to get aggressive, whether it be with lots of big army units in the front, or if it's just small individual units like an Oracle or, you know, Phoenix Harassment or Medevac drops that are just trying to do damage here and there where they can.
This Probe Harass is really cute, actually, forcing the SCV off twice. And he
Great
might
gutter step on it, actually. Being able to not just force it off twice, but actually getting very close to killing it.
Yeah, and it does look like the probe is going to fall, so maybe not quite worth it in the end, but definitely cute. Delayed that command center a little bit, and that could be helpful as we move into this early stage of the game here. Both players getting their natural expansion set up. The Protoss Nexus is a bit faster, which is what you'd expect in this. And the tech choice going to be Stargate.
And like I was saying, it's a pretty common thing to do in an Archon mode match, but wow, this SCV getting way further in than it's ever supposed to. Gets a scout out on the Stargate just because it seems like the first Adept was already out on the map, but really, really nicely timed, it seems like, from Team Cube. Oh, but this Adept's gonna take some damage. Does shade in.
No, shade to get back, actually.
Oh, shade back. Oh, okay. I was wondering, where did it go?
Yeah, I had a moment of looking for it myself.
I was like, there's no Wallen. Joe, we can make it to the main.
Ooh,
Okay.
I think Georgia Tech has a cool Zealot skin.
How do you know?
Does your production tab not have the neat skins?
It does. Yeah, you know what? I'm not actually a big fan of the Zealot skin. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it looks a little bit too little like a Zealot when you use the skin.
Yeah, some of those darker Protoss skins, I'm sometimes like, oh, I guess my detection is seeing a hallucination here.
Yeah, I think that was pretty common with the Colossus for a while. One of the Tal'Darim Colossus or something like that looks like a hallucination. But all right, we got our first medevac going to be loaded up. Seems like Team Cube is going to move across the map and try and get some damage on it, but at the same time, the Oracle pops out, and it's not really going to find a whole lot of resistance. There are two Widow Mines somewhere, but one of the Widow Mines still burrowing.
Yeah, and oh, really nice juke there, just showing you kind of the micro potential in Archon mode as he dodges that Widow Mine that had a lock on. Now it's going to dive into this mineral line, and there's nothing here to receive it. Two SCVs falling already.
There it is! There's the Widow Mine, hidden behind the command center.
Oh yeah, that can be hard to see until your air unit is blown to pieces, and this drop is already completely unloaded. A single Phoenix is here to receive this, but I don't think that's actually going to do too much. And these Marines are going to be able to put a lot of hurt into these exterior buildings as long as they're microed carefully.
Oh, gotta be careful with that medevac. The Phoenix have been able to whittle away at it, and eating a couple of those foot and overcharge shots does cost quite a bit of health, but seems like it's gonna go down. The Marines are gonna be able to kill off a Phoenix here and there, though. You just get to see a little bit of that extra micro potential when players are allowed to kind of focus their abilities on focus firing down the right units.
Yeah, and now it looks like these probes are going to be forced off the line for at least a moment to bunch up, but a total of 9 have fallen, and that's I would say that drop was a lot more impactful than the drop, or the Oracle harass rather, of the Protoss player.
Absolutely. Those two Widow Mines picking up quite a few kills in the natural expansion while all of that harassment was happening in the main base. And you can see that, yes, we do have the Protoss players with Phoenix out, and even though one Phoenix was lost, they could continue to make a couple more Phoenix and really get a lot more damage done, picking up stray units here and there, picking up a couple of the SCVs and forcing out missile turrets. But it seems like they're really just going to cut back on the Phoenix production and use it mostly for vision and, I guess, denying any medevac coming out.
Yeah, I really would have liked to see them be poking perhaps a bit more. There's actually a third command center going down here for our Terran Archon, and it doesn't look like there's anything that's going to deal with that. One Phoenix could slow it down a bit, but you're going to need, I believe the number is 4 to kill it with one pickup and stop that construction.
Oh, this is so cute. Okay, we do have the Terran players going in with the Liberator. Now, here's the thing. The Widow Mines are dropped behind the Liberator, way back over by the rocks, south of the third expansion. I think this is going to be a big old bait. He's going to try and get the Phoenix to jump over there, and he wants those Phoenix to be baited into the Widow Mines, but it seems like Phoenix are just way too far out of position, and the Liberator does end up falling to the foot and overcharge, so unfortunately we're not going to see the kind of meshing and the cool little strategy play.
Yeah, it looks like both players are content to be fairly passive, just kind of poking with those harassment units for now. Even the Phoenix is being used primarily as a defensive screen to pick off drops and things of that nature. But as I say that, the Terran Archon of Waterloo is going to be stepping out onto this map here and maybe looking to put some aggression onto that third or natural.
Yeah, pretty interesting how things are shaping up right now, as we do see a little bit of damage being done, or attempting to be done in the main base, but the medevac ends up falling very, very quickly. Big force coming in at the front. I believe that Powerfoe is the, the Riddler is the one that's controlling those forces at the front right now, pushing on over to the third expansion.
And there's absolutely nothing here. The DPS of the Marines is going to take care of that pylon very quickly. Now the Gateway Army is going to step down, and it looks like Waterloo is going to be forced to boost out of there, but that might have been the wrong decision, as the Phoenixes very quickly take down the medevacs. Only about 4 Marines get out, and this is just going to hell in a handbasket very quickly here for Waterloo.
Yeah, I'm loving the split up of kind of just attention for Box Cube, not Box Cube. Box Cube and of course, just Georgia Tech is doing a really nice job. The Phoenix have been able to do a lot of harassment, just shutting down any of the medevac drops lately. Also shutting down the Liberators, killing off so many of the medevacs that I'm actually a bit concerned right now for Powerfoe and the Riddler, because they just don't have that much firepower anymore.
Yeah, it's funny. Before this match, we were talking, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a tough match for Georgia Tech. Their guys are lower leagues, and you were like, hey, Joe, the power of Archon, I believe. And it looks like I may be eating my words, as these guys just have really good teamwork. They're doing a really good job of kind of splitting up the load, and they're clearly doing a good job of effectively utilizing all their extra actions to make the most of what Archon mode is.
Yeah, I've really definitely been enjoying it, and you can kind of see that Jessup Cube seems to be handling a lot of the kind of micro, handling the Phoenix, maneuvering around a lot of the other army units, whereas it does seem like Box Cube is handling a lot of the other stuff.
Well, a Widow Mine drop is going to come into a completely undefended mineral line here, and it looks like one Widow Mine is going to go down, going to get 2 probes right away, not the juiciest of hits. And this natural mineral line does have the photon cannon, but that can't take down 2 if they burrow properly. Good target firing potentially coming down here. Total of 6 probes falling, and those are the kind of moves that the Terran Archon needs to be doing to get back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest untapped potentials in StarCraft just in general is focus firing Widow Mines at the correct targets. And when you're in Archon mode, you can afford to just have someone focus almost entirely on doing that.
Well, we're going to see a second bio push coming out here, and it looks like it may be a Doom Drop, but that was a beautiful tag, and it's going to allow the Protoss Archon to know exactly where this army is at any given time and respond appropriately as long as they're paying attention.
Yeah, power of having an Oracle out, and looks like the Colossus is going to be revealed by the scan. But can there really be anything done about it right now with the Terran players?
I think what they're going to do is maybe try to split the untagged portion of the army down into the fourth to get something done. But as I say that, these Phoenixes get right on top of the medevacs. It looks like everything gets out okay, but these medevacs are now bruised, and that's going to make a Doom Drop that much harder.
Oh, but the fourth expansion going to be incredibly vulnerable because the Colossus and the Stalkers all move up over there. Pylon immediately going to be going down. A lot of the probes going through the meat grinder as so many of them are falling. Colossus gets some good pot shots off and may be able to scare this army away from actually killing the third, but 27 workers going down and the drops are unloading in the main base.
That's an absolutely insane amount. This small hit squad's going to go down to the fourth. The drop in the main is starting to pick off some pylons. If they could deny this +2, that would be terrific. That's one of the most important upgrades for Protoss in this matchup. Looks like it is going to finish, but the Forge does fall. And I think that the Protoss should be able to clean this up okay.
Yeah, but they're going to end up losing their fourth expansion on top of all the workers that they just lost. It's now sitting 65-30. The force at the bottom side, Team Cube, going to end up losing this fourth expansion and a lot of their economy. They basically have to push across the map soon, but I don't actually think they're going to get an opportunity as 3 more medevacs have been loaded up and are going to go straight to the main base.
Yeah, and now they're going to finally clean up this tiny hit squad of bio at the bottom that was able to do so much more damage than it ever should have been able to. And I think that Georgia Tech is really starting to feel the pressure as they grab their entire army, start marching across the map. They may feel that they have some kind of army or tech advantage, and they feel the need to convert that right now into damage on their opponent. But a big drop is going down in the main of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, able to take out the Mothership Core, going to be taking out the pylons. And the funny thing is, there really isn't much of an army right now for Georgia Tech. Back at home, there really isn't a whole lot, but they have such a big army, they can just kind of push across the map and start shutting down bases with raw brute force power. The only problem is, Joe, what's the #1 rule about base trading Terran?
Don't
you
do
don't.
it.
You don't.
Yeah, and now it looks like Georgia Tech is going to be focusing on cleaning up all of these buildings. That buys a precious few seconds for the Terran to prepare to receive this army. They have a chance to kind of spread out their Vikings to focus fire those Colossus properly. They need to find a good angle of engagement that is so important when fighting Protoss armies like this. And so far, the Vikings appear to be doing work. They're going to get at least 1 Colossus before it's able to do significant damage. Every SCV pulled off the line to try to buy this bio some time and a buffer. But this game is getting absolutely crazy. Force fields go down and zone out this bio, making it harder for it to hit onto the Protoss army. But it looks like the Protoss numbers are shrinking faster than Terran.
Yeah, even if the Colossus managed to clean up at this point, it just seems like there's not going to be enough over here. As you can see, there's no more bases able to be rebuilt, even with 17 workers alive, and the Colossus finally cleaned up. Guess what? The Liberators are actually going to be the last units alive, and they are going to be able to force back the Phoenix and the Colossus.
Yeah, and Georgia Tech is taking this this proxy gold base, which is very cute and very cheeky, but I don't think it's going to be enough. You cannot win the game with 1 Colossus and 17 workers.
As much as I'm sure some people would love to believe, it is a little difficult. Yeah, all these buildings in the main base are going to be going down. It's just a couple of the last gas geysers that are left over, and that Nexus. But yeah, Nexus gets scouted out. Liberator's already sieging up, saying, you know what, you can't actually mine from there. In fact, let me go ahead and mine from there.
Yeah, this is kind of the dying gasp of Georgia Tech as Waterloo moves into a pretty clean 3-1 here in this series. The GGs are called, and that's going to be it for the first broadcasted game in the round of 2 in CSL.
Yeah, big congratulations to Waterloo, and of course, round of applause for Georgia Tech, since I think a lot of people, again, you came into this seeing, okay, well, the group scores did show that Georgia Tech went 2-5 versus a 5-2 team. Waterloo was favored. They have a very, very strong team, but Georgia Tech really put up a pretty valiant effort.
Yeah, and I think that's going to do it for us, but before we go for the evening, we've definitely got to take a moment to say thank you to all of our sponsors and tell you guys a bit more about them. So I want to start by talking about Twitch. If you're watching this broadcast, you're watching it on Twitch. It is the best video game broadcasting site on the internet, and you can make an account for free. You can start streaming for free. You can show your friends whatever you're playing. You can try to make a career out of it like some people do. So, guys, if this is somehow your first time on Twitch, one, you're absolutely crazy and you've been living under a rock. But two, be sure to make an account, try out streaming, watch some other stuff besides just CSL. And, Revi, do you want to tell us about our other sponsors?
Yeah, of course. Band Gaming, a really, really great organization, and it's a social application. So if you are looking for ways to coordinate and organize with your team, or whether you be for the CSL or whether it be just for hanging out, Band Gaming is a really great tool that you guys can use. I know that I'm thinking about using it a little bit later on for some Final Fantasy 14 raid night. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, do be sure to check out Band Gaming. I'm sure you guys have seen a couple of the commercials for it. Twitch, of course, the platform that you guys are watching this on. Please be sure to give them a thank you for supporting the CSL and making some of those offline finals possible. And of course, last thank you again to Asus. I know that you already said thank yous to a couple of these guys, including Asus earlier on, Joe. But Asus, really, really awesome to have them back in for the 2017 season.
Yeah, guys, so I think that is going to be it for us. We will see you Thursday for our next match. And until then, stay in school and get good grades. This is the Collegiate Star League, after all.